Hey everyone, good morning and welcome to another day of Bama Bug Fest on the web. This is a virtual event dedicated to the fascinating world of insects. Now, Bama Bug Fest on the web is a collaborative event and it's brought to you by a couple of groups, the UA Museums, the Mildred Western Warnevelt Transportation Museum, the Alabama Museum of Natural History, Department of Research and Collections at UA, UA's Rogers Library, and the Tuscaloosa Public Library, who we are joined by today. We are offering 9 days of bug-themed content. It started on July 7th, and we'll be finishing this Saturday on July 25th. So make sure that you log in and check out these last 2 days of bug content. Um, if you are looking for a full schedule of events, you can always check out our website, bamabugfest.org. It has a full schedule there, as well as a handy resource guide and some other really great links and information about the event and what we've got going on for these last 2 days. So today we are kicking off our Summer Senses Sight, Sounds, and Smells Day with a fun little game called the Insect Smell Game, and we are joined by Sadie Zabawa. How's it going, Sadie?
Hello, good.
She she is a librarian with the Tuscaloosa Public Library. Now, you might remember her from our very first story time, actually, like on one of our very first programs for Bama Bug Fest this year, and the Build a Bug workshop, which she so talentedly and lovingly crafted herself, and it looks great. If I'm not mistaken, there are still some Bama Bug Fest workshop. The link is still available online, but then if you aren't able to print those pages out, that they're still available at the main branch as a printed packet. Is that right, Sadie?
Yes, they are. They're there with a bunch of bug books that you can check out and base your bug off of.
That's great. And if you make a bug from the Build a Bug workshop, make sure to share it with us on social media and use the hashtag Bama Bug Fest so that we can follow it and we can get to see all the wonderful bugs that you've made and any of the other art that happens throughout. There's a couple of art things that have happened through Bama Bug Fest. So anything that you share, please share with hashtag Bama Bug Fest so that we can find you. Okay, so today we are playing the insect smell game. Before we start, I want to thank Sadie for being a good sport. She is about to smell things and guess, and she's been a great sport. So thank you for that. We are so with summer senses, sight, sounds, and smells. When we were planning this part of the event, we kept thinking about how bugs are, especially in the summer, are such a part of our world, and it's not just things that we see. You hear them, you I guess you hear them, you do see them, but then also sometimes you smell them. And so that's kind of what we wanted to make sure that we covered the smelly part of that sense for today's program. So we thought we could approach it in a few different ways. We could either talk about how insects communicate with each other using smells, or what a bug's sense of smell is like, or the smells that bugs produce and why they make them. And we decided to kind of follow along with that last one. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how bugs have evolved many interesting ways to communicate and protect themselves, and often that means making some smelly things happen. So we're going to talk about 4 different bugs today that you might be familiar with to play this bug smells game. Now, before we start, I do want to mention that the smells that we are talking about, smells smell different to every person. So what we did is we tried to find the most commonly described, or the words that were most commonly used to describe the smell of these insects, to create the smells that Sadie is going to partake in very shortly. And but just because it smells that way to one person doesn't mean it's going to smell that way to another person. And so at the end of this, I'll talk to you about how you can create your own insect or bug smell game, and how it's just an opportunity for a good science experiment. And I don't know about you, Sadie, but I love an opportunity for a science experiment.
Of course.
Right? And I don't often get to do science experiments that involve smell. So This is an even better opportunity for a science experiment. I will talk a little bit at the end about how I put together the smells that Sadie has, and how much fun that process was, and then we'll talk about how you can do it at home too. All right, so let's go ahead and just kind of jump in and get started. And while you are watching, don't forget that you can comment with us anywhere that you are watching from. If you add to the comments, we can see your comments here and interact with you and talk with you during the game. So if you have a particular memory or if it smells differently to you than what we're describing here, put it in the comments so we can share with each other about the smells of insects. Who knew this was going to be our Thursday morning? Anyway, so okay, so here's how this is going to work. I have given Sadie 4 containers. Would you mind showing everyone those containers? Yes. So the goal was to get containers that she could not see through, but that could be sealed tight so that hopefully the smell wouldn't permeate through the outsides of them. And so the containers that I had that worked the best were Play-Doh containers. So that's what she's got right now. And I have this slide. I'm going to pop this slide up that has the 4 insects that we're talking about today, along with the description of the smell that they are supposedly supposed to put off, or that the way that they definitely put it off, but the way that smell is supposed to have smelled to some people. Now, Sadie is going to take one at a time, and you can pick whichever one you want to do randomly. And she is going to let me know what color the lid is, because that is part of my notes. And then she's going to smell it without looking into it if she can, and try to guess which insect goes along with the smell that she has in her container. How does that sound, Sadie?
Sounds good.
Okay, so after we match the smell, we'll talk about the insect and why the insect makes that smell and how it does, and we'll just kind of go into it a little bit. Now, there is a lot of opportunity after this game for research. So if you are interested in learning more about insects and how they smell and how they produce the smells that they smell or that they make and what chemicals are involved, there's a lot of opportunity for further research on this. So today's game is meant to be a jumping off point for more investigation and more experimentation and more research for everyone. Okay, so let me go ahead and pop up our slide. 1 second. You guys will see my crazy screen here in a second. There it is. All right, Sadie, can you see our slide?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so today we are talking about ladybugs, millipedes, whirligig beetles, and stink bugs or shield bugs. So all of these are probably, hopefully, familiar insects to you all. Now, you'll see in this slide the name of the insects at the top, then there's a picture, and then at the bottom is a description of how that smells. Now, remember, this could smell differently to you, so if it does smell differently than the descriptions here, again, pop them in the comments so we can talk about it. But let's go ahead and get started, I guess, Sadie. So, Sadie, if you wouldn't mind just grabbing one of those, let me know what color the lid is.
Green.
Green lid, okay. Okay, so she's going to start with the green lid, and if you could, I guess, close your eyes maybe and smell it and see if you smell anything.
Get the lid off. Oh, no. They are sealed tight. Oh. I tried wafting to be scientific.
Wafting is good.
Okay, it's subtle.
It's subtle?
So I'm going to go with ladybug. No? Yes?
No, sorry. So that one is a tough one, and I wish – so we talked about this one before. That one is the whirligig one. It is supposed to be sour apple. Now, the reason – let me pull this out real quick. Let me get back to you. So the reason – we talked about that one before. This one smells like sour apple to me. Whirligigs are one of my personal favorite insects of all time. I love whirligigs. You can find them in streams and creeks in the running ripples of the water, and they swim in circles. That's why they're called whirligigs. They like whirl, 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 whirl. But when you pick them up, if you if they feel like they are being attacked, which, something that is 9 million times their size that is picking them up in your hands, I would feel attacked too. But they'll secrete this kind of like milky liquid that smells, and it smells to me like sour apple, but like the artificial sour apple. And so I tried to get you a sour apple warhead, but I got the extreme one, and I think I went too far. I think I should have gone to not the extreme. I was like, you know what? Maybe warheads will have the extreme one will be a good one. I think like sour apple. I think I should have gotten like a Jolly Rancher, because it's like, to me it's that smell, like that Jolly Rancher. Or have you ever had that there's like this like liquid stuff that you can put on your tongue that's like wild berry, or but it's all neon colors and lots of chemicals, but they taste great. But but the sour apple one, like that, or like a sour punch straw, that sour apple. I should have gone other one. Anyway, I kind of set you up for that one for failure, and I'm sorry about that. But the whirligig beetles, have you ever seen a whirligig beetle before, Sadie?
I don't know if I've ever seen one in real life, but I have seen some large water beetles in Animal Crossing on my island. So
that is so cool. See, I'm not an Animal Crossing player, and now every time people talk about it, I'm like, you know what? Maybe that just needs to be part of my life.
It definitely could.
Yeah, if water beetles or water bugs are a part of it, then I think I'm gonna be down. So anyway, so yeah, whirligigs, it is a defense mechanism for them. They have lots of different beetles have those defense mechanisms too, where they secrete smelly things. And the idea is that they secrete these smelly things so that if something like a fish or a bird or something was coming to eat it, it wouldn't be a pleasant experience for the thing that was eating it, and they would spit it back out. Now, for us, to me, it smells delightful. So I feel bad for those beetles. I'm sure that I traumatize them a little bit, but I always, anytime we're out in a creek and there are whirligigs, they usually they'll group together and whirl in a whirligig group. And so you have to be quick. They are strong swimmers. Let me show you this picture again. One second. So if you can see here, do you see like their big front legs, Sadie?
Yeah, they've got strong biceps.
Yes, exactly. They did not miss arm day. But yeah, they are strong swimmers, and they are zippy. They are fast. Mm-hmm. So if you can try to capture them, you usually have to, keep them in water, and you kind of capture them in your hands. And whenever we're out in a stream with a group of people, I'll hope like for and my friends too, my poor friends. But anyways, but people who are coming on, trips with us at the museum, I'll capture them and go, do you want to smell a bug? And like push these things up under their nose so they can smell the sour apple. I'm sure it's traumatizing for both the bug and the human. But it also is something that, I think, people don't just choose to smell bugs all the time. So hopefully it is a new experience and a fun one for them. Yeah. So these are, if you see them again, they are kind of flat, oval shaped. I say that, you can't see that. Okay, oval shaped beetles, big, did not skip arm day, lots of great arms. If you flip them over, you can see like the segments and all their other legs too, which is really cool. But they will secrete this like smelly liquidy stuff that to me smells like sour apples. All right. So they can also, the cool thing about whirligigs too is that they are, because they're such great swimmers, like the front legs kind of function as like oars, and they can dive and swim underwater when attacked. They have compound eyes too, and they're divided, so they make them appear like they have two pairs of compound eyes, one above the surface and one below the water surface. And so they can see really well. They're great swimmers, and they have this great defense mechanism where they secrete this smelly thing. So I don't know, if I were a fish, I don't think I would like to eat it. All right, let's go ahead and grab another container. I'll put this, oops, I should share my screen. Sorry, everybody. This is live. Okay. What color container are you doing?
I've got blue.
Okay, great.
Got a little juice on my hand from it, so.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh. I'm thinking this is a stink bug. No, ladybug.
One?
Blue.
Ladybug.
Ladybug.
Okay.
It's the vinegar.
Now the ladybug one, yes. So this one is a ladybug one. Now the ladybug one has been tough because when we were trying to find descriptors so we could put the smells together, and even when I was putting the smell together, smell is such a powerful sense for memory. So I was trying to, I was like, I'll talk about that later on, but I was experimenting in my kitchen. I was like, this isn't it. This isn't it. And the closest I could get to was what you have in you, which is a combination of Dijon mustard and vinegar. Now, that one, have you ever, so I know oftentimes here in around maybe October or so, we get ladybug infestations or Asian beetle infestations. Do you have those at your house too?
Yes, I used to have them in my apartment all the time.
Do you remember a smell from them?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Okay. So the smell that I gave you was strong, I realize. Does it smell like the way that you remember them smelling?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's cool. Yeah. So I was talking with Kendra Abbott yesterday, who is an ecologist and also a great bug expert. And we were talking about ladybug smells and the in Asian beetle smells and the reason that they do it. And oftentimes we'll have these, huge infestations of these lady beetles because they have this, or ladybugs, sorry, because they have, when it comes time for mating and for making, for laying eggs, they have this thing where they do, it's called a hill topping. And so they go high to gather and to mate and to lay their eggs. I'm assuming it's like a safety thing. And so oftentimes, when you see them, that they'll be like up high. And that's part of the reason when they get into our houses, it's because they want to go up high for mating and for laying eggs. But again, that smell, and this is going to be a common theme for all of us, for all of these, that smell is a defense mechanism again. And so, excuse me, they sometimes people say like raw potatoes or like a moldy odor, or somebody said burnt peanuts. I don't know if I don't know. I've never burnt peanuts before, so I don't really know what they smell like. But the chemical that causes this is called pyrazine, and it has an extremely strong taste as well. It's one of the main flavors for certain vegetables and other products, including like green bell peppers, peanut butter, and a few types of grapes and asparagus. So it has a similar compound to those. And interestingly enough, like a small amount of this chemical can actually taste pretty good, but a more significant amount of them will both taste and smell like terrible. So the pyrazine, it's secreted from these special glands in the ladybug's legs, and it's not always excreted, but when the ladybug senses danger, then it'll release it. So it is a highly concentrated pyrazine, and so just that teeny tiny drop that's like, it could be no larger than the tip of a pin, can make a huge smell, which is I think kind of interesting. They'll also secrete that if they feel like their nest is disturbed. So if you see a ladybug that's like flitting around constantly, it's very likely that their odor will shortly follow. They're feeling threatened. They're feeling like their nest is threatened. Also, when you squish a ladybug, I don't know if you've noticed this too, if you've accidentally squished a ladybug, a lot of smell comes out of it after that, and they can smell pretty bad. And that is what it is. It's that pyrazine that's being released when the ladybug has been squished. And it's all being released at the same moment because they're not controlling the release of it. And so it's like, smell, here's a smell. Yeah. So, just make sure. Now, it's not a chemical that is harmful to us. It's not meant to be harmful to us. It was not, it wasn't evolved that way. So, but we can definitely detect when the pyrazine is around. Okay, so great job. All right, let's go ahead and try another container. If you'll grab a container and let me know what color.
Purple.
Purple. Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Definitely millipede.
Yes, millipede, nice job. So millipedes are supposed to smell, well, a lot of people will say that they smell like almonds. Have you ever smelled a millipede before,
Oh,
Sadie?
I have never gotten one that close to my face.
I'm gonna guess that you can guess why they produce these types of smell. What were we thinking? If the ladybug did it as a defense, another, what do you think?
Probably a defense mechanism.
Definitely a defense mechanism. So millipedes also have the ability to curl up into those tiny coils. If you've ever seen one like curled up in a tiny coil, that's another way that they can help defend themselves from attack. But they also, several species of them also have the ability to like secrete this smell or this liquid that smells and tastes bad. And so they are, anytime that they feel bothered or like kind of apprehensive, they'll react by giving off these smells. And it's common to release that, like if you were to touch them or hold them, or if you were flipping over a log or something and found them underneath and you went to hold them, you'll probably have a little bit of like spurt of smell on you. They, some of these species can even spurt at several inches. Can you
Whoa.
imagine? I would be
that close to my face.
exactly. When you hold a millipede, just no. But and then that way, can you? So for us, it doesn't maybe smell that great, but can you imagine what it would smell like for like a spider or a centipede that was going after it? Yeah,
Wow.
not good.
No.
So an undisturbed millipede might not smell because it didn't need to like secrete it, but when they feel threatened or attacked, then they emit these things. And what they do is they emit them from these pores, these microscopic holes called ozophores, along the sides of their body, and they'll just like as a secondary defense just emit them, which I think is kind of cool. Now, the chemical itself is not really, again, designed to, it's not, it hasn't evolved to necessarily work on humans. So it shouldn't, affect you as a human, but you might have some skin irritation from it. And you'll notice that it could probably stick around. So if you happen to hold a millipede the next time you see one, Sadie, and it sticks on your hand, just wash your hands a lot. You should be okay. All right. Also, it's probably a good idea not to like get it and then rub your eye. That's just probably not a good idea. All right, it looks like I think we have one more smell left. Is that right?
Yes, we've got
One
yellow.
container. Let me pull up my slide so we can see it. Okay.
Well,
What do we think?
I think it is the stink bug.
It is the stink bug. How does that smell to you?
A little less stinky.
Okay. So some people say fermented apple. Some people say coriander. I gave you a little bit of both. I tried to ferment the apple as much as I could. I just actually had a moth in front of me. I tried to do that, give you a fermented apple, but I might not have fermented it enough.
I
But
also don't think stink bugs are that stinky, so that might be a me
see,
thing.
that's incredible. See, and I don't think they're that stinky either. I don't mind the smell. I have a feeling though that if I were a predatory bird, bug, insect that was going after a stink bug, that I would not like it. Yeah. So when they feel threatened, the stink bug will produce a fluid that emits through their scent glands and also could potentially spray up to several inches,
Wow.
which is incredible. They can control when they release these compounds. Now, in the nymphs and the juveniles, the chemicals are produced from the top of the abdomen, where in the adults, the hole is on either side of their thorax, and the chemicals exit the body from there, which is kind of cool. So and as in the ladybugs, if you were to squash it, everything would be emitted at once, and the smell would be terrible. So it's another thing. Like when you squash it, it obviously isn't going to be able to control releasing all of those compounds, the chemical compound, and so it would just not be that great. But some people are saying that it's very sour, like fermented apple. Some people, smell other things. But for me, I was trying to, because I've smelled stink bugs before. I think I got it pretty close to the smell. But what about you? Since you are familiar with that smell, do you remember, does that smell at all like what you think it smells like?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna smell it again. Yes, I think more the apple, less the coriander.
I thought so too. The coriander was when I was smelling that coriander to try it in, I was like, I don't know, but I'll throw it in since everyone else is saying coriander. um, See, and so on the flip side, some people can describe it as like this peppery kind of odor, like coriander or cilantro. And I think I was telling you about this a little bit before, but one of the compounds produced by stink bugs can be found in cilantro.
Wow.
Right? So cool. Who knew? I'm never going to look at cilantro or green peppers or any of these other foods the same. Now that stink is not harmful to you. It's harmful to plants and some other things. But it's not harmful to you. So if you get it on you, just wash your hands and you'll be okay. Some people, you might not like the way it smells, but it won't do anything to your skin. I also wouldn't recommend sticking it in your eye or licking your hand immediately afterward without washing it. But overall, it shouldn't mess with you too much. All right. So it looks like those were our 4, which was great. How did the smell game go for you? Sadie, did it bring up any memories or anything like that?
Yeah, the ladybugs reminded me of trying to rescue ladybugs, and they would always release their smell because they thought I was going to hurt them. But really, I wanted to release them from my apartment and get them back outside and save their lives. They didn't know.
Yeah, and yeah, I always try to put, like, we talked about it before too, but I always try to put myself in their shoes too. Well, they're 6 shoes, tiny little 6 shoes, but can you, I mean, I don't even know what the equivalent would be for us, like a skyscraper trying to pick us up and move us out of the way, or I'm wondering what the equivalent would be. But yeah, I agree. I think, and also that liquid, that gets on your hand, like you can see it too. So it not only smells, but you're like, oh. I think people always say exactly. And so yeah, I think I always remember too from when I was a kid that, like we would rescue ladybugs and we would come away with some stuff in our hand. And I think people always thought that it was like the ladybug was using the restroom on their hands, but yeah, no, definitely not. So the other thing too I want to talk about. So the ladybugs, there are 2 beetles I think that kind of get conflated, like they get confused. So there's a ladybug and an Asian beetle, and the Asian beetles are they're kind of the more orangey ones. Actually, I have a picture of it. Let me show you. Here, my pictures are not that great. Let me move this over here. But the Asian beetles, these ones are an invasive species, and these are the ones that could potentially, like, some people have said that they kind of like pinch them or bite them. And you'll know the difference between, do you see this like little marking here on its head?
Uh-huh.
That would be the difference. That's the Asian beetle, and the lady beetle doesn't have it on there.
Huh.
And so a lot of times the ones that we see in our houses are these Asian beetle ones, but they also have the same like smell compound or smelly defense mechanism and a similar smell to the ladybugs too. But so next time you have an infestation and you are rescuing them, you can figure out which ones you're rescuing. Yeah. So, okay. So this was, I think, a great game that people could play at home, but as a way to sort of maybe learn more about bugs or read more stories about bugs, do you have any books that might be a good resource for people that they could find at the library that are bug related?
For sure. I have 2 of my favorite bug books with me here now. I have
Ooh.
What is Your Favorite Bug by Eric Carle and Friends. And you might remember Eric Carle wrote The Very Hungry Caterpillar, which was read last week. But it's just illustrators going through and they just have a drawing and illustration of their favorite bug and they write about why it's their favorite bug. So the illustrations are really fun. And then you can talk about what your favorite bug is or maybe what your favorite bug smell is. That one's really fun. And then we've got Bug Boys by Laura Netzker, which is a graphic novel for middle grade readers. And it's about stag bee and rhino bee, our beetles here, and their adventures they go on. They go to the beach and they just have a
Oh,
lot of really fun friendship adventures together. They apologize to each other. They're very emotionally aware bugs. And this
that
is
is the
my
coolest.
favorite bug books, and there's spiders in it and lots of different kinds of bugs. There's flies that they interact with. So this one's really fun for maybe a little bit of an older reader.
That is so cool. I've seen the Eric Carle one and I love that one, but I've never seen that graphic novel. And now I won't, but I will at one point. I'm gonna have to check that out from the library and see it. So
So
are both of those books available at the library now?
they are. You can check them out. You can walk into the main library and pick them up off the shelf, or you can request a curbside appointment and we'll bring them out to you and you can have a little contactless delivery.
That is so cool. Thank you for showing us those. I learned a lot. That's really exciting. Now, for those who enjoyed this insect smell game today, it's a pretty simple one to put together. You can use the same 4 insects that we covered today because they are insects that should be pretty familiar to you, I think. So we did ladybugs, millipedes, whirligig beetles, my personal favorite, and stink bugs or shield bugs. And so one of my favorite parts about this game was the experiment process. So, I read the description that I was doing some research and read the descriptions that people had for each of these bugs. So like millipedes smell like almonds. And so I went to go find some almonds and I smelled them and decided if that was my millipede smell, and it got pretty close. But I looked at the description for stink bug. The stink bug one, I'm sorry, the ladybug one was the one that was maybe the most difficult one because I knew what it smelled like, but I couldn't find anything to make that smell. And so because I couldn't find any one thing, I tried to like mix a bunch of stuff and try to get things. I even called on the help of a friend of mine, Pam Sloan, who I think we've all met with Discovering Alabama. She did the terrarium lesson, taught us all how to make bug viewers and bug hotels and all these really cool things. And I even called her and I said, look, I know that you have smelled ladybugs before too. Can you help me figure out how to make this smell? And Pam has been watching and she said she's really excited that we got that smell right. We worked real hard. So it was a really fun process of going through my refrigerator and my pantry and other places and trying to find things that smelled and deciding whether or not that was the smell. And so if you are at home and you would like to play this, bug smells game, go and explore your pantry. Now, I will say, we used all food items. It was, a safe way. It's a safer way to help with these smells. Might not be a good, like, even though that smell might smell kind of like a household cleaner to you, it might not be a good idea to use that as a smell in the container. It's maybe not the safest. So make sure that you are using, food items. That would be a safer way to do it. And also please make sure that you're using food items that are safe for you and for your players. If someone has an allergy to food that they can't be around, make sure that you avoid those foods so that everyone stays safe. If you are watching and you want to put together your own smell panel and try to and have your friends and family guess them, if you are on the younger side, make sure you have permission from a parent to go through or an adult or a parent, whoever's with you, to go through your cabinets. And as a courtesy, if you will please make sure to clean up all of your experimenting bottles at the end, that would be very nice to that adult or parent that's near you. But this is a great fun game that you can put together today and help or try to bring back some of those memories of those insects that are in your house and around you and in your life, and see if other people can guess those smells too. So I would start off with millipedes, stink bugs, ladybugs, and whirligigs, and move on from there. If you have other insects that are a familiar smell to you, go ahead. And if you have a smell that you've always associated with an insect, but you're not sure if the insect is the one that like made the smell, sometimes it's not. Sometimes they pick smells up because they're walking through material like earth or dirt or something. Maybe that smell is associated with it because it's been picked up by the insect as it's walking. So do research. There's a lot of really great places to do some research. There's some really great links on on that resource guide at bamabugfest.org that might be able to help you out. The books, I know they don't really talk about smells necessarily, but the books that Sadie mentioned would be a great place to start to read more about insects and learn more about them. There's lots of great online resources too. So lots of wonderful places for you to make this your own, make your own insect smells game, and just get your friends and family to join you. All right. So, how did you feel about the game, Sadie?
I felt good. I think I got a solid 2.5 out of 4.
You did a great job. You were very good at it. I also am sorry that I made you smell Dijon mustard and vinegar together. See, and that's the thing. For me personally, I cannot stand the smell of vinegar. I hate the smell of vinegar, but I know that other people it just like doesn't bother them that much. Are you a vinegar? Does it bother you?
It doesn't. I'm pretty used to it.
I use it all the time in my house, but it doesn't make me happy when it happens. I'm like, bleh. But yeah, so I think that should be the end of our game and the end of our experiment. If you are watching and you end up making our insect smell game or your own insect smell game, please share in the comments your experiences with us. If you have any funny pictures of people smelling things and not loving the smell of it, we would love that too. But don't forget to use that hashtag Bama Bug Fest for any of the things that you do post for us or post about Bama Bug Fest rather, so that we can find them and find you and all the great things that you did. All right, so I think that this is going to do it for this segment of Bama Bug Fest on the web. And make sure to check us out for the rest of today's summer census sights, sounds, and smells. There's a lot. It's all S words. It's really hard to say fast. But make sure to check us out for the rest of today. And for our very last day, which is Saturday, it's our Bug Benefits Day. We'll have a lot of really wonderful videos about the different benefits that bugs have for humans. And it's a great day. So check out the rest of today. Oh, also, I want to mention tonight, we are excited. We have an insect theme comedy special that is happening tonight that is live with some local area stand-up comics. It is tonight at 7:30. It is great for it's a family or family-friendly audience, but it's great for maybe the older audiences, middle school on up. But we've got some really wonderful comedy that's coming out all about insects. So we're really excited about that one. Join us. It'll be tonight after the daily wrap up. So go ahead and check out the daily wrap up and then stick around for the comedy show. All right. Oh, also one last thing before I finish up my little ending. We are still accepting votes for the art contest. Make sure that you vote. Those are available on the Tuscaloosa Public Library Facebook page, the Alabama Museum of Natural History Facebook page, and the Mildred Westervelt Warner Transportation Museum Facebook page. Make sure that you vote for your favorite in each of the 4 age categories. The winners will be announced on Saturday. So voting closes tomorrow at 5 sharp, and Sadie is going to be one of the people that helps us tally those votes. So she knows 5 sharp, right, Sadie?
5 sharp.
5 sharp. All right. So, I guess I want to thank all of you guys again for joining us for Bama Bug Fest on the web today. Remember that content always appears at 10, 2, 4, and 7, that daily wrap up at 7. And all these times are always Central Standard Time. If you aren't able to join us in for these live presentations, know that you can always go back and watch them archived on any of those Facebook pages or YouTube channels from our organizers. And you can find out where to find those at bamabugfest.org. You will also find a full schedule of events and a link to our handy resource guide that our friend at the UA Rogers Library put together for us. As always, we want to thank our collaborating partners for making this event happen. And I want to thank you, Sadie, for being here today and helping us out. We really appreciate you spending some time and some olfactory nose expertise with us.
It's my
So make sure to check us out again at 2:00 for the presentation from Dr. John Friel, and we will see you next time on Bama Bug Fest on the web. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.